Hello and welcome back to my road to 1700 elo. I have the game review of the previous video. I played at 94.4% accuracy, my opponent at a 68% accuracy. I have some mistakes to learn about. So we have a pretty normal standard Vienna position, and here I do blunder. I mean, it's an inaccuracy, it's pretty okay. If you want to pause the video, it's a tactical opportunity for my opponent, starting with knight to e4, and when I take, he just forks my pieces. So after what would be my best move here? Maybe check. You have to play this, and now knight to f2 is my best move. It's basically my only move. Like all the rest was minus 1.5. This one is minus 0.3. And after takes, I have takes. Your pawn structure is pretty bad. We're in a pretty equal position. And I can take the center pretty easily. So the engine says 0.4, but honestly, I would prefer white here any day. I don't really know. Like, he can pressure me, but I can just take the center. He can... I don't know, like, already, what do you do? Like, developing your bishop here, I can push it away, so you will probably have to develop like this to castle. Then I can just develop my knight. You castle, I castle, and I don't know, I will have to reroute my knight somehow, because my knight here is not doing much, but I have pretty easy development-ish. Like, not at the moment, like my bishop is pretty awkward. But I have a beautiful pawn chain, I have more... I have a pawn chain, I have slightly less activity. He does have the bishop pair, but I feel like I'm doing fine, and I would prefer white in this position, to be honest. So I don't know, it's an inaccuracy, but fine. He takes, I take the center. Usually you have to play this move first, but he doesn't really have a queen check. If you go to the normal Vienna gambit, after takes push here, you can take the center, but you do have to play this move first. Stop check. After this, he gives a check, and after block, which is a pretty natural but bad move. Best move is king e2 or king d2, blocking your own bishop, giving up castling rights, and this natural move just blunders severely. So it's like pretty close to that, but you don't actually have to do this first because he doesn't have the check. He develops, I take my pawn back. He castles, I develop. Pretty normal. Here he's trying to push in the center, playing this in a kind of Carcon pawn structure way, except without a e pawn. I just castle, and he tries to reroute his knight, but I don't know how or why. In this position, you have a lot of pieces on the home square. Touching your knight there and moving your knight there is pretty brain damage in my opinion. Just develop, play your pawn break, develop, like bring your rooks to the center, develop your queen. You have a pretty straightforward plan. Maybe you don't know the setup, but still it's pretty logical what you should do. So this is a brain damage move in my opinion. But I play e5. Another inaccuracy, but I don't really think this is so inaccurate. My best moves are just to develop my queen, following opening principles, take the center, develop your minor pieces, castle, and then develop your queen. I didn't follow the principles. I thought striking in the center would be better because I have so much more activity. But there's nothing there because his king is not in the center anymore. If his king was in the center, this is top computer move for sure. but opening up the position is maybe too fast. I don't really have pressure, but we both play the best move, and this is just what I saw, and I thought I could reroute my knight and make a pawn chain potentially. I could play for this pawn break. I could just have some pressure here, and I thought I would be doing very good in a close center with a beast of a bishop here. So it's an inaccuracy, but I don't really mind. I think I played pretty good. He instantly makes another inaccuracy, just developing your pieces here. This is the top engine move, and after it takes and takes, I wasted a lot of time, gave you a open file and easy development. So I probably wouldn't even take the knight. That's probably, I don't think taking the knight would be good in this situation. I have a3, bishop to e3, and bishop takes on e6. But a3 is by far the best move. Just pacifying his knight, and then he will probably have to re-rotate his knight somewhere like here and here. This look nice. But he does another pretty bad move, making a weakness. And yes, you could argue like this pawn is able to be protected by a pawn with g6, but g6 would weaken his king severely. So I think putting pressure on this pawn, forcing him to play g6, and then taking advantage of a weak king is a pretty easy opening plan here, or middle game plan I should say. But I first play for this pawn break, so f6 weakened this diagonal, so now I want my bishop back on the weak diagonal. So I played this move intending to play c4. The engine likes knight to e2 more. I thought here I am pressuring some weak squares, but I mean I don't really want to go to the weak square, because if takes and takes, first of all I have this weak isolated pawn, and second of all, if you have a weak square like this, like he could kick me, but then he will weaken other squares, so it's not a weak square, but in the in the scenario that I take advantage of this square and he tries to bully me away, I will have a lot of other weak squares to go to. I mean, not instantly because of the bishop, but there will be a lot of other weak squares, so this is technically a weak square. And after this, he has knight to a6 again, and here I have just c3, pacifying his knight, and this is probably brain damage because I allow knight to b4. Yes, indeed. So maybe after this first, let's say you develop, is c4 now good? Not really. So in this position, the pawn break doesn't make sense, so I just had to reroute my knight, but I do this, he does weaken every other square just to not let my knight go here. Now I do find the best move, which is my pawn break, so my pawn break wasn't a dubious idea, it was just dubious if I put my knight here, but I didn't, so I don't know, I would argue that this wasn't really an inaccuracy, but it is specifying my knight, not developing my queen. But I'm playing for a pretty normal pawn break, which will weaken a very important diagonal. He does the best move. I develop my queen eventually, but I had to actually reactivate my knight, putting pressure on his pressured pawn. He slides his king out of the way. Again, I don't like the move. You have all of these pieces on home squares. You have to develop your pieces. So now I play the move to reactivate my knight, putting pressure. Here I'm putting pressure in the hope that he would take, I would take, and now I have this beast of a bishop. He could instantly trade it off, which is pretty annoying. Here, queen to e2 is nice, apparently. But anyway, he doesn't take. He defends his pawns again. But after takes, I was thinking he would take. After take and take, I have a pretty easy target, and I have a lot of weak squares to go to. And I can use my knight to push e6 and then play f7, which I did a bit later. So I calculated this sequence, and I think trading there was a good move. I do have a passed pawn, I have very easy development and infiltration, but he just stuck with the pawn, giving me target, giving me target, giving me an open file, and I can instantly bully away the defense. So this is a very common thing you have to look for. Look at the pieces that are actually defending something. Can I attack those pieces? I had a very straightforward, moving forward, attacking defenders and making squares weak move. So I just did it, and it was a pretty good move. My other move was h4. Isn't that even a sacrifice? Like, what if he takes? I take and you take, and now I have the crushing knight to e2. I cannot explain this sacrifice. I have no clue. Anyway, so I think my move was just practically the best one, to be honest. And here he plays a retreating move. I understand that he didn't want to give me easier targets because all of his weak pawns are on light squares. So he wants to maintain his light square bishop in order to defend his weak pawns. He doesn't want to give me the bishop pair as well, but he had to go here and not all the way back. This is just dancing a bit around, losing more and more time, and now his bishop is not active at all. So here I was just developing, and I tried to push this idea. Here the engine does a very weird move like this, and now I just put pressure on the pawns, and you have a complete engine line that doesn't really, like, this gets a great move and I don't understand why, and like it's all of these weird moves, and all of a sudden I'm completely winning or something. Like, I don't know what I just did previous move and I skipped to the end. That's gorgeous, just gorgeous. So I don't understand this move at all. Like, this move on the next moves get like a great move, but I don't understand it at all, to be honest. So after this here, great move, queen here, whoop, rook here, he has to play bishop here, and then I have to move my rook here. Like, I do not understand this engine line. So I think, practically speaking, I played one of the best moves. My other moves were knight to e2 again, or just a rook lift. So rook lift, knight reroute, or putting my rook here, but I do not understand this move. But practically speaking, I was just trying to push my plan. He made a mistake, he let me push my plan, after which he makes another inaccuracy, just grabbing a pawn and not understanding the threat. This is a very, very threatening move. He probably thought, I take a pawn, I sack my rook, I will win this pawn, and all of his pressure is gone. But it's not like that. He finds the best move. Here another inaccuracy, the engine likes this move. And if you just calculate it all the way through, this is a very beautiful move. Like, queen here, he has to trade my bishop off. I can trade my queen off, and here I just win a pawn. He has to defend, and I skip to a random move again. GG, well played. Anyway, so that didn't happen. I played rook to e5. I thought this was just a very normal and natural developing and infiltrating move. And I had the idea to go rook to e1, just putting more pressure on a weak line with a lot of weak pieces and back rank problems. But he makes another mistake. I can just take the pawn, and here you have to calculate like this is pinned, so you can't really take, but you do have things like take, but that doesn't work because I can sacrifice my queen. If you take my queen, you get mated in one move, so you can't actually take it, and like I'm completely winning, to be honest. So queen here, I can take this, I give up my pawn, but I win another pawn. He trades and go here. And this is just a pretty easy conversion according to the computer. He finds bishop here, which doesn't this just sack a rook? Oh yeah, but if you take, I take. Yeah, fair enough. So after takes, takes, and takes, I have no checks. Oh, I mean, I have this check, obviously, and now I should be winning your knight. Yes. No, it's defended. What am I smoking? Anyway, but like, it's completely win. The other conversion of the engine is this move, after which he will have to move. I can play... I mean, it's a conversion, but let's do the more obvious move. He takes, then takes, and queen to f7, after which I have this move, and you will have to sack your queen and a pawn for a bishop and a knight. Now it's knight versus bishop and queen versus rook, so it's an easy conversion. These pieces don't work well enough, and one important rule I want to show you. Let's say I show you it like this. These pieces will never coordinate well together, like only these pieces. Like you can use a bishop to defend a rook somewhere and like do this and work here, and then you will have good piece coordination. But in the endgame, only these two pieces will be very difficult to coordinate. So let's say I just do this to like pin you, and that's already very annoying, but like you only have king moves to light squares, and one already runs into a fork, and that's the rule I wanted to teach you. Every time you see a weak and open king like this, and especially if you have a queen on the board, you have to have very good piece coordination, because a weak king and bad piece coordination like this, the rook isn't defended is what I mean, will lead to easy forks. So every time you see an open king, especially if you have a queen and some loose pieces, look for forks. And like practically speaking, I'm up 5 points of material. I'm only up an exchange and one extra pawn. But your king is so open that I will find some forks here or there. So that's not what I did. I found a move that I, practically speaking, like more. I find bishop to b8, a sacrifice that doesn't get a brilliant move, which is annoying. You can take this because there is a easy back rank checkmate. Your natural move to block this checkmate would be to move your bishop, but because I place my bishop here, your rook is still blocked, so that doesn't work. So I have to make a luft, And after you make a lift, I still have this rook sacrifice. You go here. I re-threatened a checkmate. And your best move here is to play queen to e6. After which, I mean, it's easy conversion, to be honest. I have queen to d3 check. You have to go here, and the engine finds something weird with like takes, you take, you save your bishop or something, I don't care. You can sack your rook once again, only move is to take, you take, he takes, and in this position you basically have the other thing like the engine has, but with a more active queen, and this pawn still survived, but still a pretty open king, active queen, bad piece coordination. I will have forks. So that's the conversion I chose, but in this position my opponent just blundered. I think he miscalculated something. He thought that he would pin my rook to a checkmate threat. That doesn't work because all of my moves are with a check. So after check, he just resigns, which is pretty annoying. I would wish he would let me play the checkmate, but he just resigns. A very beautiful move, just very beautiful conversion. As a little update to my road to 1700, I today hit a new peak of 1674. I lost some games after that, but I hit a new peak. And I'm playing pretty good, pretty consistently. I like my play, so I hope you liked the video. I hope you subscribe, leave some feedback in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.